Good evening, guys and gals and non-binary pals. This is that D&D podcast, and we are back for another installment of our Improbable Interviews segment. I guess let's go around and introduce ourselves before we let our special guest steal the microphone for as long as he wants to. Hi, I'm Aaron.
Don't say that.
If you've watched these, you've seen me. This is just I talk to people and we do stuff. It's fine. It's totally fine. Somebody else talk.
Go, Mike.
If you watch these, you've seen me because I'm something else. Hi, I'm Mike J. Darkson Brard, not GM tonight, if you like, and pass it on.
Hi, I'm Andrew Otway. You might remember me from doing the first couple of these and then dropping off the face of the planet because I had other stuff going on. Sorry.
It's fair. And I will be the one to warmly welcome our guest for tonight. Jacob, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Jacob Burgess. I'm a games writer and a voice actor. I'm currently in a podcast with a bunch of wildly humble people, so now I feel real awkward plugging myself.
I mean,
that's about where I'm at right now, because everybody was like, "Yeah, I'm here. I do things. Whatever. It's cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a professional voice actor. I've been in things, and I write stuff." Yeah, I'm not. You're like, yeah, we're going to be super humble. Now come out with finger guns blazing. Like, no, I'm not going to. That's not. This was a trap.
You're the very special guest here, all right?
Yeah. Cora, why?
Quit being Canadian, you piece of shit. And introduce yourself.
I'm not Canadian yet. I get my citizenship later this year, I believe.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Yes. So yes, I am. That is a cat butt.
I'm sorry.
You don't look. Cat butts are a beautiful and natural thing, and they want us to know. All of them want us to know that they have them by rubbing them on
every surface. Yes,
and trying to steal our souls at night to sell to the devil for more lives. So yes. Anyway, I'm Jacob Burgess, games writer and a voice actor. I do tabletop writing and prose and things like that, and as a voice actor. Mostly video games, such as Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear, Infinifactory, Masquerade: A Song in Shadows. Most recently was Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, and I'm pretty sure I can talk about this now. Aquanox by THQ Nordic, which will be coming out soon, I think.
Nice. Very, very nice.
And if I can't talk about it, I just got myself in a lot of trouble.
And nobody watches us anyways.
That is untrue. I did my research. You have gotten some really amazing guests, of which I am now one of them, and I don't know why. No, you are.
We can actually put you.
I'm the fucking Canadian here, and you're all like, "Yeah, nobody watches it. Fine, we're super humble. Who gives a shit? Whatever." Brr. Like
we can put you on the same level as Austin Walker now. That's just how that works.
Mm-hmm.
There's two things that actually we can put you on the same tier as Austin Walker with now. Because you've also been in the Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. So
yeah, he was.
He wrote one of the characters.
He was one of the. Yeah, he wrote. Not Quinn.
Name right now.
It
was the Preacher Man.
The Preacher. Yep.
I was watching
Austin did a great job.
I was watching a playthrough of that, and I just had the thought of I wonder who Austin Walker wrote, and then the black socialist preacher man who's like, we should be a cornerstone, not like a leader, came on, and I was like, oh, I wonder who Austin fucking Walker wrote.
Yeah, I love how Where the Water Tastes Like Wine actually gives the writer credit right when you meet the character. It's
Yeah, more things should do that.
Yeah, I know. It'd be cool if they mentioned the voice actors, but whatever, that's fine.
I mean, it started in Eastern games, so I mean, who knows? It might actually start making its way over here.
No, it actually I honestly just said that as a joke because writers in games don't straight up do not get enough credit, and they get way too much of the blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's real sad.
Anyway, that's my introduction. Just pontificating on the nature of video games right off the bat. Good job.
I mean,
Jacob.
we go for some shit. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of our. I mean, I think the first thing we asked Adam Coble was, how do you fix nerds in tabletop games being shitty and like.
I remember clipping that, and like he's like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna go easy, and you came out with some shit straight out the gate. All right, cool, let's do this." So I mean,
Yeah.
Also, you're drinking out of a skull, so you know this night is going some places.
Branding, because I'm writing for Wraith.
There you go.
I'm a terrible person. This is actually just my mug because I'm full of cotton candy and bats.
That's amazing, though. That's still I want to muss up your hair and give you a hug, and also like vaguely be afraid of you.
No,
Well, do we
don't.
want to? Sorry, go ahead.
You shouldn't be afraid of me at all. I'm a tiny hobbit man with noodle arms.
We can have a short off if we ever meet in person, and I'm pretty sure I win.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty pocket sized.
This is the most Canadian argument.
Oh yeah.
Surely you're taller than me, you magnificent creature. No, it is you who's the taller one. The sun embraces you before it graces me with its presence.
Everybody always gets to ask you how the weather is up there. You should be honored by that question. These queries do not come to one such as I, for I am diminutive and
we're
tiny
very-
in stature.
We're very curious what the true sunlight is like to those whom tower above us.
I have no idea. I hear
Oh.
tales of the glorious day moon. I have yet to truly fully believe them.
Friends, as a tall strider, let me tell you some tales.
You're gonna hit your head on everything.
Okay, for real,
Yes.
I do that though. So
I hit my head getting into cars, and they're
I-
not that high.
Oh, see, I loved being in Japan because everything was like my size. Like, when I sat in chairs, my feet touched the ground. I could reach shit in grocery stores. It was a magical land. It was
Are
awesome.
you-
I'm sorry, Mike. You had a question. I apologize.
Well, my
I
question is
interrupted.
now: are you fluent in Japanese? Did you do a lot of studying of the language before you went over there? Like, what did you live there? Tell us your story.
Which one? In Japan?
Yeah.
All
Actually,
of my stories? We don't have
I've-
that kind of time.
I think I have an intro into this actually.
Okay.
So we try to customize the overlay when we do an interview like this to the person. We find something that's tangentially related, hopefully, to their interest in tabletop games. And so for you, I went and found a photograph of Dotonbori,
Nice.
and then just punched out 4 little like head shapes, and then slapped a couple things on it.
Oh, that's very cool.
And like Austin Walker was like a grayscale's like New York cityscape photo with like the waypoint green on it because I'm a hack. But yeah, so I mean, like, it from what I saw when I was stalking you on a Twitch stream where you were playing Yakuza 0.
Oh yeah, Tilty House.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I do that every
Um,
Tuesday.
They also seem like really great people. Yeah. Why don't you like tell us a little bit about Dotonbori, and then like if there's any way that that's influenced how you either write stuff or what you bring to voice acting or anything like that. And like if you can sort of dovetail those things, that'd be cool. Or just talk to us about Dotonbori. That's also
Yeah, okay. So Dotonbori, for people that don't know, is a river that cuts through the middle of Osaka. I have lived in Japan 3 different times in my life for a total of 3 years. I lived in Sagaken. I went to college there for a little while, and then I lived in Osaka, and then went back and lived in Tokyo. Osaka, the best way I can describe Osaka, it's like Japanese Boston. Same kind of coastal town, same kind of history, like how they came about, like as a coastal port and things like that. They have their own particular accent and way of speaking and special terminology. Same kind of slavish devotion to their baseball teams. My very first night in Osaka, and this was my first time like living on my own in Japan, not like part of like a class group or anything like that, but living on my own. My very first night there, in the taxi, after a 14-hour flight, it was the first time that the Hanshin Tigers, their local baseball team, had won the pennant. And the town went banana sandwich. And this is my first time there, the Japanese people have a reputation for being very reserved and orderly, and these are the stereotypes a lot of times that we hear. And I saw salarymen with their tits out just running down the street, waving around like tiger striped panties and shit. Like one dude ran up to my taxi and was like, la, 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 and like ran away, and I was super overtired and I didn't know what the fuck was going on because at the time my Japanese was not so great. I saw people, like when we crossed over the Dotonbori, people jumped over the railing into the Dotonbori River, which again runs through a major metropolis and should not even be looked at, let alone drank or swam in. Like, no.
Is it a canal, like primarily for shipping
No,
things
it's
along?
a goddamn river.
Okay.
No, it's a river.
Okay. But
I
it's
mean,
also
again,
like sewage.
It's also people pee in it all the time. It's probably 20% pee at any given moment. Because there's a lot of bars around that area, and if you've ever seen, like the Blade Runner kind of like Glico Running Man, like the guy that's like, yeah, like that's the area that I crossed over, and people were like, ah, la, 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 wah, and like jumped into the river. And they actually put up barriers after that. They put like glass barriers up, or plexiglass barriers up, because it affected the Hanshin Tigers winning the pennant affected productivity in Osaka because people got what they termed Hanshin fever. So many people jumped in the Dotonbori out of joy for their baseball team winning the pennant on my first night in Osaka that they got sick. Enough people got sick from jumping in the Dotonbori. They dubbed it Hanshin fever and like changed a major tourist attraction area and like banned people from swimming in it. Like that was my first night in Osaka. So how that really influences my voice acting, is that that's the Osaka. I didn't appreciate it enough when I was there. Osaka, the food is absolutely fantastic, and it was my very first time like really living in Japan. So I always get nostalgic when I hear Osaka Ben, which is their like basic term. So for example, or it's the term for their like local dialect. For example, konnichiwa is good afternoon and things like that. In Osaka, a lot of times they'll say like okini, which is like, how's your business? Like that's as far as I understand it, the best translation that I can think of. So it's just kind of like, like a Boston dude, just going like, hey, how you doing? How's your business? All right, great. Yeah. You want to go down there? You want to bang a you? It's freaking wicked. It's wicked pissa. Don't just hand me the microphone and let me go. Christ.
This is the design.
That's what I say. That's the entire purpose of this entire thing is you tell me the story about the time that you accidentally wound up in one night Mardi Gras in Japan.
Fucked up. Japan. It's a hell of a drug. So where was I? Crap.
The accent?
The accent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I did most of my studying of Japanese in Osaka. So I was a tiny white dude with a stupid edgelord fedora. And like a full goatee. You'll notice I don't have a mustache. It's because I look creepy as shit when I grow one, because it's like thin. All of my facial hair grows like a virus, and this shit's just like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like it's
the
just
pencil
no good.
mustache with the mutton chops is a strong
with like mutton chops and shit, yeah, and like a fedora and like and already super.
That's when you cross the street to get away from the person. I think
I would cross the street to get away from me now if I met me then. Mm-hmm. I hate that stick. Like me, I'm not saying like anybody that dresses like that is automatically a fuck stick. I was a fuck stick. So thank God somebody's laughing, or else it's gonna get super awkward.
It's important to acknowledge personal growth over the years.
That is correct. I want to punch me in the face.
Yep.
So hard.
That's how I measure personal growth.
Yeah. Yeah, how badly do you hate your past self? So
And like,
much.
how recently did you realize that you were a shitty person?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I learned most of my Japanese was in. So imagine like a straight-laced Japanese salaryman talking like a New Yorker, like, "Hey, the fuck, go right, bada bing." Like that's how I sounded to Japanese people. So I didn't make any friends. So when I left and moved to Tokyo, I had to kind of relearn all of Japanese to actually like use Tokyo Ben, which is standard, kind of like the Midwestern accent is standard for like the States. Yeah. There, but that I don't know how that really influenced anything now. It was a weird detour, me going to Japan instead of going right into voice acting and stuff.
Is it anything that you've ever like leaned on when you're running a tabletop game? Because I mean, like, it like
Shadowrun.
okay.
When I ran Shadowrun, like that was definitely stuff that I leaned. It helps. I mean, any real world experience can be brought into tabletop gaming. Like acting, it's theater. I see tabletop gaming as ephemeral. I mean, all theater is inherently ephemeral, but you are creating a personal theater. Like all of you are there together creating one night of theater that only the people that are at the table are going to experience, not anymore thanks to things like Twitch and whatnot. You know, other people can participate and watch. But it's theater. It is live theater. You are all creating stories together. The only thing you are missing is like the freshly killed elephant and the giant fire, and you're all sitting around telling stories together in various states of dress depending on what your proclivities are. Just to try to bring that cave person metaphor to a screeching deadly halt. That was not very smooth. But it's so being able to bring that experience in and being able to describe feelings of loneliness and feeling out of place and being alone and like a lot of the negative stuff that I felt, and then the elation of being somewhere that I'd always want to be. All of those feelings, everything that I experienced wanting to go to Japan because I was and still am a goddamn weebo. Like I learned Japanese because I wanted to watch anime in the original language. Like that was it. And I was like, samurai are cool and I like swords. Like I am a fucking stereotype. Like I am a living cliche. But it's the same thing with acting. Every experience, everything that you do can be brought to the table in some way, whether you're running a character or running a game.
I had a thing and then it wandered away from me. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, so my oldest son is in a Japanese immersion program, so we're
sweet.
eyeing on a trip to Japan in 4 or 5 years, basically.
Awesome.
And so my plan was to hang out in Tokyo and then go north or south, depending on where he wants to go. Because if he does Japanese immersion for 6 years, we'll take him where he wants to go. So
that's awesome.
My question was like, how much preparation did you do? Did you learn a lot of Japanese beforehand, sort of thing, or you just hopped on a plane and flew over there for a year?
I thought I'd learned a lot of Japanese beforehand because I'd gone to college there for like I thought my studying was great. And then I got there and I was like, I don't know shit. So when I got there, it was I learned more Japanese in 3 months than I had in 3 years, like straight up. Yeah, yep. But, I mean, the immersion is really really good, but like what I think that's probably going to do. Again, my Japanese level is gone like, but it's going to really help like gel everything that they've done. Like it's really going to help like crystallize it and bring it home. Hearing it just friggin' everywhere and just signs instead of standing there and like trying to read the sign in hiragana going like, or katakana and going like, sa, do, we, chi. It's sandwich. Sandwich. Yes, I'd like a sandwich, please. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Ash in the chat asks, if you were to do voice acting in Japanese, would you just sound super Osakan? Since that's
Fortunately, I have had a lot of accent training and things like that. So I can speak Japanese in an Osaka accent. I can speak Japanese in... I'm sorry, excuse me. I can speak Japanese badly in an Osakan accent, and I can speak Japanese badly in a Tokyo. I used to be much better, but I have not practiced in a very long time. It would take me a while to get back on the horse, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
Excuse me, jeez.
Better out than in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Too much and you explode, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you find that like you transfer any like of the stuff you picked up voice acting into like being a GM? Like, do you make extra effort to do a bunch of extra voices, or how has it affected the way you do things?
It's so voice acting is acting. It's all performance. It's not necessarily extra. Certainly, sometimes my players expect. If you're a voice actor, sometimes people will expect you to do voices and things like that. Like the two big expressions that
You're not a one-man Critical Role?
were I on camera, you friggin' bet. Like, if it was something I was doing for like my job or anything like that, oh yeah. You can just call me a piggy because I would ham it the fuck up. But but I do different voice. When I run games, I bring everything I have and every bit of experience that I have to what I do and to that game, because in my mind, I run more games than I play because I have a very limited amount of time as a freelancer and things like that. So I have to, everything that I do has to have a very specific time budget and a very specific, like I really have to schedule the crap out of my life in order to have time to do anything. I love running games. Running games is, for me, incredibly gratifying, and I try to make them fun, but ultimately it's a service. You are there to make sure that what you are doing is fun for your players. Yes, it should be fun for you, but the problem that I have most times in running games is that it's a lot of the old school mentality is players versus DM or players versus storyteller. And that's a fat load of bullshit in my mind.
Yep. You're among friends.
Good. Part of the reason why I like the storyteller system so much and World of Darkness is that it uses theater terms. It understands that that's a lot of what it is, and that's an easy way to couch it. It doesn't have to be what it is for you. That's definitely what it is for me. And, you know, when you get into consensual versus personal reality, fuck it. Anything can be anything. But that's what... Short answer is yes. I bring everything that I've got to the game. Sorry, yes, that's my short answer, because it's theater, and that's what I feel the story that everybody at my table is telling, and I believe that it is that if I don't, then I am doing a disservice to my players and the story that we're all telling together. Definitely. And their story, because ultimately that's what, as a DM, as a storyteller, you're there to facilitate.
Definitely.
Do you find you think in explicit like theater terms, like this is a scene, and like do you talk about? Because I know when I DM, especially a couple like very sort of kind of like cinematic games, I will talk about like we get an establishing shot and like there's a title card and things like that. Do you find you do similar things, and do you find you work better with systems that also talk in that sort of language?
In my mind, the systems aren't important. The story is king, in my mind. And there are going to be people that are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. You are welcome to come at me, and I will do my absolute best to have a civil discussion about how you are incorrect. Oh wow, that didn't get any laughs. Shit, I fucked up. No,
It's knife
truly,
time.
Yes. No, systems, in my mind, systems are there to serve this.
Yes.
But again, I'm an actor and a writer. My whole deal is words. So there are people that may feel differently, especially if, because people come to role-playing games for different reasons, and some of them like the strategy aspect, and they like playing with like people that are super into role-playing and whatnot, but they need that system because that helps them with the social aspects. They have a system to do that because ultimately everybody can play role-playing, no matter how they feel and what they do. I'm merely speaking for myself. Anything that I say should be taken salt and pepper to your taste. That's my big line, because I may say these things like as a joke, but ultimately I don't really feel it that strongly to tell somebody that that's how they need to do it.
Right.
I don't care how you do it. I'm just talking about how I do.
Yep.
I mean, I care how you do it. I'm interested as a human being and I want to talk about it, but it doesn't affect how I approach anything. So the systems are there to serve the story, and the storyteller system specifically uses theater terms, and that is the World of Darkness is the thing closest to my heart, because it in no uncertain terms saved my life. Like, and I'm not being facetious. If it were not for those books and were not for that setting, I would not exist anymore. This would have ended a long time ago. Because childhood fucking sucks sometimes for some people. For me, it sucked for me. So those are the terms, and especially being a theater kid and being 6, that's kind of what I latched onto. I will always use the terms that my players are more comfortable with. Like, I'm running a one-shot. I'm going to be running a one-shot D&D game for a group of women that have never played a role-playing game before.
Nice.
So I'm going to be using the D&D terms. Like, that's, you're there to serve. Use the terms for that. When I think it, yeah, it's all fucking theater, foreground, background, set. It's just all douchey actor shit up. I'm going to start drinking now.
Yeah.
If you haven't, then I mean you're behind the curve. Okay, I just want to hiccups are not because
I
of
can tell.
drinking.
You're behind. No, it's fine.
Have you had any bloody maybes tonight, Aaron?
Fuck you, Andrew. So why are you here, Kat? I love you.
Because cat.
I love you. Come here, let's hang out.
Let's hang out. Fuck this.
I feel like we need a technical difficulties overlay for moments such as
That's
like just
Okay,
that's
I'm
getting
fine.
clipped in real time.
yeah.
I can only hide my face with one hand. The other. Am I bleeding?
I can't see the microphones in the way. You're
Please
probably
hold.
fine.
I'm gonna get my selfie camera and see if I'm bleeding. Please continue.
No, you're good.
You were saying something. We're very professional here at that D&D podcast. If you can't tell, Jacob.
This is fantastic.
We're sticking to a tight script right now.
Oh.
I think it's probably World of Darkness segue.
Yep, the cat has played her part admirably. Now we change scenes. We get serious again, and tell us about the incident.
We don't have to get serious just because I talked about, like, I almost killed myself when I was young in this IP scene. It's cool. Whatever. It's fine.
I mean, I doubt you're alone even among like the people in this call. Like
I know I'm not. It's not something I'm ever. It's not something I'm afraid to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And our experiences are, of course, way different. But using like RPGs as a form of like escapism from like real world shit is very good. Especially, I mean, the past year and change has been a little rough down here in America. Yeah, so that's been, this has been a nice break from the ridiculousness of the real world. Like, this world has rules, and you follow these rules, and then, like, you kind of have an idea of how shit's going to work out. It'll be, like, along this scale, and not, like, oh, no, I'm not going to, not going off on that tangent. But no, like, RPGs as a form of escapism and as a form of, like, self-exploration are both very good.
Yep. I would absolutely agree with that.
Playing with these nerds helped me realize I was trans and all that stuff. So, like, there's space for lots of character exploration and stuff, and personal exploration. Yeah, they're good people.
You filled out a new spot on your character sheet.
I just started New Game Plus.
I was going to say you have the New Game Plus pin because that pin's awesome.
I do.
It's a really good pin. It's a really good design.
That's super cool. I haven't seen that.
Penny Arcade put out, their Penny Arcade line. One of them is like New Game Plus, and then the background is actually the colors of the trans pride flag.
Oh, I want it.
It's very strong.
I might really be into collecting those.
I will send you a link as we speak.
I'm a pin. I'm a pin. My character from Masquerada got made into.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. It's cool. I get a fucking sack of them.
That was like a very it's the actor training came through. I believed the sack when you did that hand gesture.
Please never say the phrase "I believe the sack" around me again, please. I just sent you a DM on Twitter with a link to the pins.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Here I have been just dropping links in chat like
a pleb,
like a barbarian.
Barbarian. Well, I'm joining the Twitch chat, right? Because people are here listening to us now.
Yeah, feel free.
Sweet. I hope my computer can do it. Anyway.
Yes.
I am yours. I'm drinking, so my ambition.
Even better.
I was going to mention. So you mentioned like introducing new people to the hobby. Is that something you find you do often?
Yeah. I'm enthusiastic. I said earlier that I'm made of cotton candy and bats, and those are like those are the I think the two aspects of my personality that come out the most. More the cotton candy than the bats. I am made of enthusiasm, and the things that I love very, very deep. I have enough social awareness to give people an off-ramp if they bring up one of these topics around me. For example, the world of darkness or professional wrestling. One of my friends, Ryan Ike, who is an amazing composer in Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, on the way to GDC one year was stuck next to me on a plane to Seattle, and he asked me a question about pro wrestling, and I talked for about 3 minutes, and I usually give people an off-ramp, and I say, if you want me to stop talking about this, this is your chance to stop me. This is the only self-awareness I will allow myself. If you do not stop me now, buckle the fuck up, because I'm going to ignore every signal that you send me, and I'm just going to keep talking about this shit until we land. He chose to continue, and now he watches pro wrestling.
Nice.
Because I equate it to theater and things like that. Like it's all
it's
all acting and theater and storytelling. It's kind of my thing. It's like so much jam. I want to spread it on toast. Puns.
We exist.
I love
on
introducing new people to the hobby. Because again, that's a service. Like you have one moment and one chance to show someone the truth about something new. And your job is to show them what that thing is, how much you love it, and what it might mean, showing them a potential future. You have the honor to show someone the potentiality of something amazing that means so much to you. And don't fuck that up and make it about your love for the thing, instead of just being like, well, let me show you how cool I am, thing you barely know and probably don't give. like that's an honor, and that is a service in order to show somebody the new hobby. And I, because of my enthusiasm, feel like a lot of people tend to go like, Jacob, go, like, talk with them. And over time, thankfully, a lot of trial and error and a lot of people being very, very patient with me, I have learned how not to melt somebody's face off, because I have all of the enthusiasm of a 5-year-old that wants to tell you about rocks. And that's the thing that they fucking love. They know everything about rocks. They're going to tell you everything about rocks. Then they're going to invite you to go find rocks. And this is an igneous rock. And this is this kind of a rock. And do you want to see my rock collection? Like, and they won't stop. All of that is in here. And there is a giant friggin' wall with a huge goddamn steel trap that just goes like to let a little bit of it out to see if somebody might want to engage with it. So you don't bury them under a mountain of fucking crazy.
So which is better, the Vince McMahon era or Wraith? World of Darkness?
The Vince McMahon era?
Of WWE. I was just trying to make a wrestling.
He's still alive and owns the company, so technically the whole thing has been his era. If you meant perhaps the Attitude Era, see, this is what you've done. If you mean the Attitude Era, which is the era, like, and you're talking about WWE. Yes. I'm talking about pro wrestling as a whole, which, and WWE is the mainstream, but like, I can talk about Japanese wrestling or Mexican wrestling, which is called Lucha Libre. Which has a long and storied history, and the masks all mean something. Or if you want to talk about the independents, and if you want to talk about the independents, then we're going to start talking about America versus Canadian independent scene. Are you talking about the Northwest Territory, the Northeast Territory, like the Western Territory? And don't you do that?
Are you aware of the worldwide?
I'm sorry.
Are you aware of the Worldwide Wrestling, the role-playing game?
Yes.
Okay. I just had to make sure,
because I'd still be playing it.
Right. It even has moves for like you can cut promos in it, and it's a whole. It seems really fun from what I've seen people play of it.
There is a group, a very small group of game audio folks. We all see each other at various conventions and things like that.
It's not a huge group.
No, it's not. No. But there is a small group of us that we carve out one night during each convention, and then we take turns running a one-shot game using our favorite system, but set with pro wrestling.
Okay.
So we played a WWE Call of Cthulhu game at PAX West last year. Unfortunately, everybody got too busy, so we had to our GDC game is scrapped, and I'm running during PAX West for one evening. I'm running a a pro wrestling based Hunter the Reckoning game, one shot, which is set in my current World of Darkness.
Nice.
So the one shot is going to have an effect on my Seattle based game and my Vancouver based.
That's really good.
I go fucking bananas when I run games. Like I get.
Zach, one of the people who's done interviews like this for us, one of the members of the podcast, has been dropping a few choice selections in chat, including White Wolf Federation, World Darkness Federation, and Wraith: The Attitude.
Wraith: The Attitude. That is fantastic.
He's good people.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm just laughing at Wraith colon.
I have so many questions about the last 2 minutes.
About what?
About the last 2 minutes. Too many question hooks. But like
technically, Wraiths have colons because they believe they do.
But if they don't believe they do, they're okay.
That'd be pretty shitty.
No,
but they have to believe they need to eat, right?
I'm sorry?
But they'd have to believe that they needed to eat in order to exercise. I don't know why we're talking about wraith colons, and I got sucked right in, I guess, is the phrasing I'm going to use right there.
You got to be careful about those colons that suck you. They're rare. Treasure them.
You may have just murdered Aaron.
Usually the best you could do is a Wraith semicolon.
Nice. So, which version of World of Darkness here? Because there's been a few.
So which version am I running?
Yeah.
The 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary. Okay.
Yeah. That's when that. Man, all right.
Do it.
Let me drink some more scotch here.
Yep.
Chug, 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 chug.
Chug scotch? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm trying to elicit a tangent.
She's from Louisiana. It basically comes out of the pipes.
Scotch does? I need to move to Louisiana.
Yeah, but sometimes it's alligators, so it's
It's
a real
Really
dice.
fucking drunk alligator.
it's a real dice
Scotch
roll.
alligators are delicious.
All right. So I run the 20th anniversary stuff. It's Onyx Path has done such a good job curating. Oh man, I'm gonna get emotional. Shit.
Do it.
Aaron cries once in an interview. So.
Shut up, Andrew.
That's fine. I cried during my last stream playing fucking Yakuza 0.
It's a very beautiful game.
Yeah, we had to like protect a blind woman, and I just lost my shit. God, man, that game. Anyway, so I run the 20th anniversary stuff because it's quite frankly, some of the old World of Darkness stuff was just racist. Like it wasn't. Not necessarily. Well, I don't know. You know what? There was some of it that just wasn't really well thought out. Would be the political way to say it.
Okay.
The 20th anniversary stuff is curated by a bunch of the folks that helped bring the World of Darkness into being, and they have found the proper voices to speak the proper words. And they've taken everything about the World of Darkness and brought it forward into our time. It feels like something that has grown with me.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, when the World of Darkness ended, like back in 2003, I think, like when they ended the old World of Darkness and then started the new World of Darkness, now currently called Chronicles of Darkness, I was heartbroken because something that I love ended
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I didn't find satisfying. I wasn't mature enough as a person to understand what it was. It was The Last Jedi. And I was done. I walked away from it, and I thought that I had to live with that kind of distance. And then as I got older, I put it aside. 13 years almost. And then I saw somebody had told me that like Empire 20th anniversary is going to. That's too heartbreaking. I can't read it. It's something that means too much to me, and somebody that's like reprinting something. I didn't look into it. Somebody sent it to me, and then I was like, nope, nope, put it aside. And then fast forward about 2 years after that, and a couple of my friends, Lucas J.W. Johnson, who's the CEO of Silver String Media. He is a fantastic, fantastic person. He's been one of my good friends since we met at a game jam when I used to live in Vancouver. And his now husband, because they recently got married and I hosted their wedding, Ken Glass, asked me to run a game for them because now that I usually go over to Vancouver once a month to attend some meetups and things like that. And they very graciously offered me crash space for a weekend. So in exchange for that, I was like, how about I run a game for you? And they were like, okay, well, what should we play? And I was like, well, here are your options. Here's what I know. I haven't run a game in 13, 14 years. And they were like, well, we think you'd be wasted on a dungeon. I don't know. And I was like, well, they were like, well, what did you like back when you were running games? I was like, oh, let me tell you a thing or two about a thing or two. And I told them a little bit about the World of Darkness. And I was like, or we could play Pathfinder, we could play this, it'd be more role story heavy. And they were like, I don't know, World of Darkness sounds pretty interesting. What else can you tell us about it? And I was just like, let's grab a bottle of wine and sit down and Grandpappy Batlicker is going to tell you a tale. So we sat down and I went over every line in the world, Hunter the Reckoning, everything, just off the top of my head, and like a gate opened up in my heart, and everything came back everything that I loved about it, all of the connection and the mystery. Like when a New World of Darkness came out, I used to buy it and then take all of my old books, spread them out before me, so that I could like suck the marrow out of every little bit of double X mean. And like it was the most scholarly endeavor I have ever taken part in, and I have a Bachelor of Science in theater. I am a classically trained like Shakespeare guy, and it is the most scholarly thing I have ever fucking done. Like fucking tabs and shit. I had a giant goddamn duffel bag that weighed 85,000 pounds and looked like a dead body, just full of books.
I'm imagining a conspiracy board too, like with the red string and everything.
Yeah, no. So anyway, talking to them about it just brought everything back, and they eventually came down to decide to play like mage, demon, or vampire. And these are both very nice people. Ken is nice unless given power, as evidenced by the one shot that we just ran, where I gave them more power, and they murdered 50 people within 15 minutes of play. That's a different story. So they had settled on vampire, and I was like, cool, excellent. You know what? They've got this 20th anniversary stuff coming out. I'll take a look at it. So I picked up the 20th anniversary vampire book, and I was like, because I was just going to like use all the old stuff, the revised edition thing, and just kind of tailor it. And the beginning of the vampire 20th anniversary, like the first 3 pages are just stories from people detailing what vampire meant to them. And I wept. Like I cried all over my tablet. Like it, and then I kept reading more and reading more. It was like, this is what we're doing, and they updated everything. Pages of curation. It's holding a museum of everything that helped to make me me, because every World of Darkness line has a philosophical conceit behind it and embedded in it. Vampire is beast I am, lest beast I become. Mage is the very concept of personal versus consensual reality. Wraith is don't leave anything behind, and what do you remember? Werewolf is rage against the dying of the Hunter is the world is full of evil. What are you going to do about it? Like every line has this heady concept behind it, and it's all tucked into and baked into all of these systems and everything, but it's all there. It's the one constant note that runs behind every word and every thought and every system and every page is that one basic tenet. Even if you get down to the sex of the Camarilla, SECT, not vampire bonin, but like groups of them.
Who then go on bonin?
And how would you have to do that? And like, spend a blood point for a boner. There's a system for that.
You laugh.
Oh God.
No, that's real. That's true. That is, you have to spend a blood point.
Do you get it back? No, I don't want to. Don't.
You've never played Vampire.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
You don't understand. I dropped
Jacob. So we'll get into this part at this point. We're going to have you on. We're gonna at some point in time we're gonna kidnap you from Victoria, throw you on the ferry over here, and we're gonna play a bunch of games with you, and you're gonna love it. Or at least we'd love to have you on if you'd like to do those things. And if you want to introduce Aaron to Vampire and myself, because all I've really played are the weird video game adaptations. That's the word.
Adaptions is funnier.
Yeah.
consensual kidnapping only.
Yes.
That's fair. If I have the time, I would love to. But time and money are always factors in a freelancer's life.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all of that opened back up. And I mean, as you can see, like I got the fucking crazy saw myself in the camera. Like I just went fucking wackadoo.
It's endearing.
But it means the world to me, and to be able to share this with people. That's kind of like my World of Darkness story, sort of. How that's my very long answer to addition to.
Well, and I mean, like,
wait. I'm gonna throw a red flag, a yellow flag real quick.
Sure.
Can you increase your mic sensitivity by like 10 or 15%? Because you're dropping some.
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit. I think it's more when you get like animated. I think because there's movement.
Yeah. Oh, because the mic is here.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Sorry. Yes, I flung it around. How's that? Is that okay?
Yeah, it sounds good right now.
Is that better? Okay. It's because I flung it and it kind of sat here for a little bit. Okay. Sorry.
I'll do a signal if I can't hear you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Caw, just
Just in the middle of talk. Caw. We are professional adults doing professional adult things.
Yes, indeed.
oh,
So yeah, as you can probably see, the darkness, it means everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I
it's
mean,
super
like,
important.
introducing other people to that. I mean, you get to experience it vicariously, and I mean, I imagine the answer is yes, but I'm assuming you learn something new with every new person you bring to it because you sort of see it through their eyes a little bit.
Yes, and it's how things are perceived, because perception is such a huge part of the World of Darkness. It could be this, it then could be this. Here's evidence that it's this, but actually it might be this thing. Who knows? Do your best. And I try and play with that when I run games, because I know almost everything in the World of Darkness. It's one of those like encyclopedia things, and I got to speak with some of the Wraith developers, one of the Wraith, and was like, "May I ask you a personal lore question?"
A little bit. Okay.
May I ask you a personal lore question? And I was like, okay, in the beginning of this, it implied this. Here's my 13-year-old theory. And then he was like, yes, that's correct. And I was like, I am the best. That was so, I can't describe the emotion that I had at that moment. Never felt before, and I don't know the word for it. So I learned something new, and I learned how things can be perceived. Even though I think I have a solid idea on what a particular thing is, they'll come up with some crazy idea, because for them, I didn't let them look at the rules. Like, I taught them the game as we were playing. Which I think drove one of my players a little bananas, because they're a very systems-based kind of person. And they were like, yeah, but what about this? And I was like, it's fine, just like, no, but what is it? And I was like, it's fine, don't worry about it, just roll this. Yes, but how do I know if I'm winning? Kind of a feeling. That's not actually what they said. It's just an example of the feeling behind it. Yes. Very systems based, but it's because if you just play one system for a very long time and you're very system, it's hard to shift your paradigm. You know what? Yeah, we're just gonna unzip that.
Play the music.
Sit here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get the careless whisper going.
Is this okay?
Yeah, you're good right now.
Sure. Okay. All right. So, it's been really, really cool to help kind of teach this one particular feeling or style of game, because my games are weird as hell, and I love pulling off just weird stuff. Like, I had a mystery that took 1.5 years to play out, like,
Damn.
and pulled the trigger after 1 year and a day, and gave them, like, they could have figured it out on their own, and I something, because that's, to me, that's a lot of the World of Darkness stuff. That's a lot of the feeling of it, is like, it could be this, but maybe it's this, and it's going to take you a little while to figure it out before all the pieces come. Like, I love weird techniques, and I love using, it's super good. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's fine.
You said World of Darkness, and I can't.
That's how we know it's a good question.
I give people an off ramp when I want to talk about this kind of stuff, because not everybody's going to be interested in it or enthusiastic about this kind of stuff the same way I am, and I don't want to abuse the social contract and make somebody listen to my madness. But you asked me to be here, so it's on you.
That's also the good thing about Twitch and YouTube is if they're like, oh god, he's talking about a thing for more than 15 seconds, they can either skip forward or just close the window, and that's true. That's life.
But don't close this window. Stay in.
No, I mean, should definitely stay here.
Yeah, or don't. I'm not a cop.
You have to tell us if you. Well, you just.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
No, I think I was done with that thought.
I was going to say, like, you don't need to apologize for going long. Like, the platonic ideal for this sort of interview is, like, we ask 4 good questions and sit back and the person rants for, like,
2 hours.
1d4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've gotten through 3 questions and we're an hour in. So I mean, like, this is
our list.
We're doing
this is
pretty
on
good.
Track.
Yeah, we're doing fine.
Cool.
Okay, so I had one for you.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of advice that you've been given, like GMing or DMing, whatever you want to call it, advice that you were given that wasn't given as GM advice? If that makes any sense. Like, what's just something somebody said to you that you were like, oh shit, I could do this in my games and do like way cool things?
It was being able, a lot of my telling me that, one teacher in particular telling me that performance is a service.
Mm-hmm.
That's the philosophy behind when I run games. That's the philosophy behind it. And getting back on the horse, like running games, I had to re-remember that, because performance, DMing, acting, even writing can be a very self-serving thing. And you can use it to stroke your own ego as much as you want and be blind to how it might be received and be blind to who it is you're performing for. But anything that is collaborative, everybody serves everyone else because it serves the story.
Yeah.
At least ideally, I believe. Yeah. No, hiccup of approval. That means that was a decent answer.
It's punctuation. Like, that's that's actually how we know when an answer is given.
That's the metric.
It is, and I don't know how.
It's amazing.
It's actually woods. It is one of the services Aaron offers for us.
Willingly or unwillingly, it happens. Please, somebody talk.
No, I get incredibly amusement out of that, so I'm just going to let that. So, yeah.
So you've been talking a bit on Twitter about starting streaming. You've been doing some work with Loading Ready Run, some people of whom I am fans, and with Tilty House. I'm not sure if there's anybody else you want to shout out in this sort of span, but like, is that something that, like, can we expect to see, twitch.tv/Jacob Burgess coming up soon, or?
That's a lot of financial investment. Right. Part of why I really like doing Tilty House is he's already, and I would not want to. I don't know what content I would have, honestly, like if I was streaming on my own. And there are areas of my life that I would want to give that time to. I would love to stream on my own, but I don't know what I could offer that other people can't, aside from me and just hanging out with me. I mean, because there's a lot of stuff I'm very enthusiastic about. I'd want to have a good show instead of just like sitting down and playing video games and having like show up. I want to have like a good format, and you've got to get solid branding behind that. And if it's an investment on my part, quite frankly, I'd want to make a little bit of money at it if I was going to do that, because it would be like at least 5-6 hours a week, set up planning, things like that I could be using trying to find my next writing job or auditioning or making Ladyface, my Canadian wife who is real, dinner, or spending some time, or leaving her alone because she is a real person and sometimes because she's real.
I almost believe you.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally real.
Yeah. Women exist in Canada, yes.
And I am, yes. Anyway,
At least one of them is in our chat. What's up?
No, I was like, what? And then I remember Jordan's in
Jordan?
Canada.
Yeah.
I'm good at things. It's fine. Excuse me. Okay.
oh, that D&D podcast hasn't even loaded.
Curious. The chat was timing out for me.
Oh, there we
earlier.
go.
Oh, hey, it's us.
Sometimes Twitch is a butt.
Go ahead.
So we've tried to do a little bit of our due diligence when researching you. And you've talked previously about being a travel guide in Seattle.
Oh, good God. That's some deep dive.
Some people fuck around. We don't, except for like when it starts, and then we fuck around a lot.
Yeah.
We don't pre-fuck around.
Our product is fucking around, and we don't fuck around with fucking around.
Exactly. So do the skills that like you employed while you were working as a travel guide, like do those come into play when you're running a session or as like a player or anything like that? And if so, how?
So I was a tour guide for the Underground Tour in Seattle twice. I've lived in Seattle twice.
Okay.
And they have been kind enough to hire me both times. I loved being a tour guide because it was history. And again, it's the same kind of service mentality as I need to tell them history and keep them entertained while we are crawling through dirty-ass basements that sometimes have rats. I need to make these basements and these areas underneath sidewalks in Seattle seem interesting because they are really interesting, and I need to convey that. That's getting someone interested in being able to paint a picture using nothing but words and performance and body language absolutely translates to, for vampire, for example. If somebody's going to go out hunting, you want to make sure that they understand both the thrill and the terror of hunting from a personal level. So setting that scene, depending on who they're going after. Does the character have a high humanity? Do they like try and remain human, or do they let the beast reign and become more of a monster? I mean, that's far easier to go and, spend all your blood points to do all of these fantastic things and jump from rooftop to rooftop and tell that guy to like poop, and he poops and it's great and you can hide it in a word, and you can revel in this creature of the night that feeds off the lifeblood of others and kill. But what do you lose when you do that? Being able to describe the environment that kind of a character that always has this raging dichotomy in them, and getting them to understand the internal through the external is a challenge. You need to hold somebody's attention to bring them from the outside in. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, or is that way too artsy fartsy?
No, that makes sense.
Too fartsy.
It can be both. Why not both?
Okay. Well, that's my goal.
Yeah.
But sometimes, look, there's years of douchey actor shit kicking around up in my head, and sometimes I can't differentiate between sounding like a bag of dicks and actually making a point.
It's fair.
Because I never think I sound like a bag of dicks, especially if I'm like talking about Shakespeare and what a word means, thumb and stuff. Most people's eyes will just glaze right the fuck over, and I'm just like, no, forsooth, motherfucker. Like, Shakespeare, bitch. Yeah.
I'm really now just imagining you, for some reason, in a beret, slapping someone across the face, yelling, "It's Shakespeare, bitch."
That would be great.
You don't have video footage of the 3 times that's happened, so you can't hold him accountable for it.
That's never happened.
Excuse me.
Did that make sense? I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you do your games, your Vancouver and your Seattle vampire games, I'm assuming you're drawing on the local knowledge from what you've lived in there.
Yeah, and I did a crap ton of research on Vancouver history, because I like using actual knowledge of my players in order to, one, fuck with them.
Yep.
Because if I know how they think about something, then I can use that to subvert expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Or just stick a knife between their ribs, right?
No,
like you know they have this.
You monster.
Okay. That's fair.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I like that he's backing away. It makes it even better.
I think I win. Do I get XP for killing this interview?
No, but you would have gotten XP for avoiding the encounter.
Oh, okay.
You've killed enough interviews, and the bestiary is full.
I've killed enough interviews. Sweet. I leveled up while you were gone. I killed the interview. You were worth enough XP.
Excellent. Good challenge rate. So I like, yes, to not necessarily stick a knife in the ribs, but to like one of my players is a interior designer and architect and knows a shit ton about Vancouver history and about the different buildings in Seattle. So when I place like vampiric things on certain places, and I played with the timeline and the history too. Like, for example, in one of the buildings, which is the Wall Center downtown, that's usually where the court is held, like the prince of the city and everything like that. And they came into power 13 years ago from the current date of the game. In our history, that's the day that in that big glass building in the wall in Vancouver, that's the date that all of the windows got changed to a darker tint. So
you fuck.
Yeah, I'm a douche. That's tip of the iceberg stuff. I've planned things that they'll never find. Ever.
Oh yeah.
I just did it just in case they might. Like I planned 5 games. I don't like. See, this is where I get bananas.
Do it.
Okay.
You might have noticed a hook floating with a tiny little chunk of bait on it.
It's
That's for you.
appealing.
So for these games, for the World of Darkness games, I don't plan a linear story. I created a living city first, and then the characters made who they were, and I put them in it. I made a terrible mistake a long time ago, because every game that I ran for 6 years in university, every game that I ran was in the same perpetual World of Darkness. I never told my players this, but these characters in this one game had an effect on the other game. If I was only running one game, all of those events carried through. It was a perpetual thing. And there were threads and storylines that went through all of them so that I could tell them near the end. And my very last game, the one that was supposed to tie all of this together with my 4 favorite players in a Winnebago traveling across North America, I made the game too complicated and it stopped being fun for them because I didn't understand and I didn't quite have the same service mentality. I got way too far up my own ass and fucked it up because they couldn't figure things out and they didn't feel like they were progressing. That's the trouble with the open sandbox games sometimes, especially in an tabletop RPG setting, is you're spoiled for choice. You don't know what to do next. And that game ended. The very last game that I had in this huge epic 6-year, like 17 different groups of players over the course of that time, because college and you can.
Yep.
ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. And that was the end of my World of Darkness, which ties into when the 20th anniversary stuff came out and Onyx Path took the mantle and started to curate everything. The Vancouver game is my redemption. So I picked that back up. And the whole thing is, back in that game, when I screwed up, like in the real world, that means that in the World of Darkness that they are playing in, is that the end of the world was supposed to happen, but didn't. And now that continues on 18 years later. And a bunch of high-level people, like way high-level, way players will never goddamn again. Like, we're like, hey, we're ready for, like, the end of everything.
Where is Gehenna?
I'm going to go back to bed. Like, yeah, it's
wake me when Gehenna comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wake me when Gehenna comes. That's exactly it. So, like, there's some people that kind of got, like, a whiff that the end was, then somehow didn't for whatever reason. And that's tied into, for me, the World of Darkness kind of coming back to me, or me getting to come back to it. And that's all kind of tied together. So I make a living city, and the players have their own personal agendas. And there's like, you know, there's different things that they can do and things that they'd be interested in, but I let the players through their character decide everything that they're going to be doing. The events are still happening in the background. If they don't touch them, they'll play out a certain way.
Right.
But I have it all set so it's a living city, and everything logically flows to everything else. So when you mention that crazy ass fucking board with the strings and shit, you're not far off. Like, I go bananas when I run games. It's my own little mental chew toy in the back of my head of thinking about the World of Darkness and like how it would affect my game and what's this new thing and what's this one person up to, and because the players took this action, how would this person hear about it? How would they react? And it's all the moving pieces. And now I'm running 2 games, one in Seattle and one in Vancouver. And the choices that the Vancouver folks make will affect, because they're running now on the same timeline, are going to affect both games.
Nice.
So I ran a one-shot before the Seattle game started, and after the Vancouver game, a one-shot for my Vancouvers. They got to play more powerful vampires in Seattle, because I had already set Seattle up and what it would be. And I was like, cool, let's get this party started. And I want them to experience what it is to be a more powerful vampire, to actually have status and authority, and like being able to like blink from one side of the room to the other and make a room quiet and eat babies and whatever the hell they wanted to do. And they, within 15 minutes of play, pissed almost everybody off, like burned a building down, killed 50 people, which was, before the Seattle game started, one of the Seattle's players' houses. So the very first session of the Seattle game was the players going to a big party, and then halfway through the party, one of them finding out their house burned.
Oh, okay. I thought the building catching fire and then them all having to flee.
No. It wasn't them having to flee, because then in October is going to be them brought together.
Okay.
Maybe not October. Sometime. I have things set up so that they're actually going to come together and have like one group session, because they don't watch my stuff, so I can talk about it publicly.
Yeah.
And they don't really know when that's going to happen.
Do you play in Meat Space? I'm assuming it's like Roll20 or something similar.
I just Skype.
Okay.
Skype and trust.
Fair.
Because I trust my players to understand, because I set up, I mean, we play, and the very first session is everybody getting on the same page with how this game is going to go. And everybody's there to service each other and service the story. Like, it's about your character and not about it's about the story and not about the story. It's about you, but not about. So I really lay down the culture as strongly as possible and then reinforce it through play.
I want to just quickly say, if you're not playing with players you trust, Faceless Mob, who watches our stuff on YouTube,
Don't.
you should address that. That's a problem, and it should be addressed and fixed. Or you're
Yep.
playing a one shot at a con, at which point just play your
It's fucking-
character like a stolen car.
Do it.
Yep.
But that phrase that you said about, it's a performance that we're here to service ourselves and each other. That social contract thing is super important to lay out right there. Make sure that everyone's bought into it.
It's all my douchey feeding.
It's important. It's shit that games until recently weren't addressing at all. Like
it's codified in rules now in a lot of these games.
Yeah, Genesis calls it out. I think Blades does less directly.
I'm the the jerks that always go like Simpsons did it.
Yeah.
You're the Onyx Path guy.
I'm the like World of Darkness did it, because like they baked all that stuff in. Rule 1, it says Rule 1 to counter rules lawyers, like right there on the very first page was like the storyteller. It's the discretion of the storyteller and the service of the story. Like
like there's in Genesis there's something that's like the social contract, and it's like you are playing with human beings.
Nice.
Treat them like human fucking beings, and then like
that's awesome.
It's basically like it's actually a paragraph that just translates to "Don't be a dick."
Yeah, that's kind of the Rule 1 thing.
Yeah,
or is, I should say. It's still a thing.
Yeah,
it hasn't stopped being a thing.
Yeah.
So I get real. I don't know why I keep apologizing. This is weird. Actually, like
it's
people.
The Canadianisms are sinking in finally. You've been bombarded with our apology rays long enough that they're finally taking hold.
Brutal.
Andrew and I are drift compatible, so I have some of his Canadian apologies just pouring out of me at times. It happens.
Apology.
Ooh, the scotch is kicking in.
I thought you said this couch is kicking in. I was like, what?
No.
No,
the couch is already broken.
Couches, and now every time I hear the word couch, as a little moment in the back of my head.
I can't do this and look at the chat at the same time, so I'm gonna have to go back and like.
That's fine.
Read it.
That's probably fine.
That's something
later.
The problem with reading it later is you're gonna be listening to yourself, and if you're anything like me, you'll either be saying things 2 seconds before you say them on stream, or you'll be like, "Oh, son of a bitch! I could have said this thing."
It happens.
No, I beat the shit out of that stuff out of me a long time ago. Because if you can't, like, as a performer, and analyze your own performance, that's, in my mind, that's a detriment. There's some people that just like want to go out and do a thing and they'll never watch themselves ever. I'm enough of an asshole that I like watching myself perform. So there are times where I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. I'll do that next time. Like when I was a tour guide, my buddy Dean, Dean DeJernique, who is my greatest rival at the tour, and a 50-some-odd old Armenian man.
Does Dean know that you consider him a rival?
Oh, yeah. No,
okay.
During the 2 summer seasons that we worked together, we both accounted for 50% out of a crew of like 36. We accounted for 50%, just him and I, of all of the 5-star reviews. Because, like, when I showed up, like, I got up to where he was and then passed him a little bit, and we really hit it off and immediately became friends. And then he was like, oh, you motherfucker. And then, like, stepped it up. Then I was like, no, you son of a bitch. And then, like, I stepped it up. Then we started going on each other's tours and, like, telling each other, like, little tweaks and, like, the timing for a certain joke, or, like, hey, have you thought about maybe doing it this way? Like, we would just take time out of our day to, like, talk about all of, like, and just sit down and eat sandwiches at, like, this deli right around the corner and have pie and just get all up in each other's actor business and just being like, oh, talk about comedy and timing and oh, it was so good. I miss that dude so friggin' much. He's the best. And if you go, he's still working at the Underground Tour. Go to the Underground Tour in Seattle. Ask
and
for
demand Dean.
He is the fucking best. I love him so much. He's so great. This guy, he really helped me hone a lot of stuff that I was weak on. He was man crush on him. Huge.
Now I'm really curious if he features as like an NPC in your Seattle game or something.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
It seems like the
That's not
underground is
no.
like, yeah.
on the off chance that one of my players is going to hear this, I don't want to tell you about the Seattle Underground because currently it's 33 blocks of downtown Seattle and the first floor is buried.
Okay.
Yeah, like all the sidewalks are hollow. There's a 12-foot drop at least under every sidewalk in downtown Seattle. It is fucked up. It's cool.
I did the
Well, it
tour.
makes it easier for them to get you.
I did the tour a couple years back, and as somebody who can't fathom basements, really, because we can't have them here, like the whole under level of a city is real
A
weird.
basement. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full of bubonic plague and rats and
hmm
opium dens and
Sounds like a party.
Seattle. Yeah, it sounds like pee. I miss it.
How long until you set a very different type of vampire game or similar in hi Cora in Victoria? What would a World of Darkness Victoria game look like actually?
Hockey.
That actually is a mystery. So a lot of there was a really cool source book called Dark Alliances that was all about Vancouver by night that came out in '96. I think it was '96. It was one of the very first like source books, and it actually had like a section for werewolf and a section for vampire. So what I did is I updated that book to modern Vancouver, and there is a small section that says Victoria, don't go there. Anybody that goes to Victoria doesn't come back. Like any vampire or anything like that doesn't come back. So I have.
That's
if for
really
whatever
cool.
reason one of my players wanted to get on a ferry, I know why Victoria is dangerous to supernatural creatures, but they don't. And the only thing the players know are that like the prince sent three lieutenants over to Victoria, like in the late like aughts, like 2008, 2009, like as an exploratory thing, because it's the capital of BC. And they just didn't come back, and then they stopped talking about them.
So now I'm super curious if that extends to like the entirety of the island, like, or if there's like a surfer werewolf in Tofino who's just like super into Long Beach. I have broken Jacob.
Well, I get real when I talk about the World of Darkness. Like there's a part of my mind. No, shut up. That's not serious. There's just the nerd part of my brain. It's like, no, shut up. This dumb surfer werewolf. Meh. Then there's another part of my brain that's like, let's see if we can make that work.
I'm
like, how can you make that work and actually have it?
I'm
silly
the asshole.
ideas.
I'm the asshole who's run no fewer than 3 one-shots predicated entirely on a single pun. Like each of them on an individual pun. So that's
awesome.
my tabletop style. One of them was what if they live but maple syrup aliens?
Which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a bunch.
It was very silly.
Versus kids.
Yeah.
Could we take a small break so I can go to the bathroom?
I'll allow it.
Absolutely. Give
you.
me just a second. I'll take us offline real quick. Boop boop.
It's critical.
It takes a village.
And we are back live again after our delightful break. We hope that you hung around, because why would you cut out this at this point? Look, just shh, it's fine.
At this point, you're in it. Like, let's be real.
Yeah. You're an accomplice. Like right now, I mean, you're in the car.
Get in
You're
the
enough
car,
of a
loser.
character. You're enough of a character that when we roll dice at the end of the fiasco, there's going to be an outcome.
Get in the car.
See, I meant to ask a question about writing, but I clicked on the tab that has the gnome. Yes, thank you.
Glint Gardner Son.
Yes, Gardner Son. Yeah, I was listening to a bunch of the voice clips for that earlier. I haven't had a chance to play Dragon's yet, but that sounds amazing.
It was pretty great. Glint Gardner Son was Baldur's Gate Seed of Dragonspear, for those that may not know. I love Glint. I love Glint so much, and I pray to all of the gods to play him again.
It's fair.
He's a little blue gay gnome. He's the best. I got to hit on Minsk.
Do you have any like favorite lines that you recorded or anything like that?
Absolutely.
What's Glint's Thaco, and did you hit?
God.
Look, once you go gnome, you never go home.
Very nice. You had that in the can.
I came up with that off the top of my dome. Like, I think I was talking with the writer, with Andrew Foley, who was at the time the main writer for Glint. We were like talking about. I forget we were talking about. Like, just that was a top of the. Here, I had that in the can because I had once before.
I mean,
And,
I was just giving you shit.
Oh no, that's cool. Thanks for calling me out on the public thing, though. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Fucking dick.
You just burned him so
You're
hard
so
he got
welcome.
blurry for a second. Like you almost banished him from the realm.
I felt actually that I was getting sucked into the Shadow Realm, but I was able to pull myself back.
I hear if you die in Canada, you wake up in America.
I hope that's not true. Unless I have my passport with me, I really hope that's not true.
Only if you've been bad.
If we've been good, do I wake up in Norway or something?
You go to Super Canada.
What's the
Newfoundland?
Newfoundland? Yes, that's more north, right?
That's part of Canada.
That's
Yeah,
more.
it's like North Canada.
That's like
No, that would be the Northern Territory. It's got North right in
if you die in Canada, you've been good. You wake up in Alert. I'm sorry. Or Edmonton. That might actually be worse.
Oh, so speaking of segues, do you
I
find the
lived in
process
Edmonton
for?
for a year.
Wait, what?
Edmonton's a beautiful mall that a city grew up.
I like to say that I spent a decade in Edmonton 1 year.
That's awesome. That is a good line. Oh, so speaking of segues, Mike.
Yes. So, do you find the process for writing for games to have any similarities to GMing or game mastering or DMing or?
I talk to myself with all of them. Everything that I do informs everything that. There are parts of everything that feed into stuff. So, for example, when I was writing for Idle Champions, because that was a lot of dialogue, 2 characters with very little information on them, and then 2 characters with 30 years of information as far as Jarlaxle and Bruenor went. So I was writing Jarlaxle, Bruenor, Celeste, and Naeli. Celeste was in a cutscene for the Neverwinter MMO and was a piece of downloadable content in 2015, if I remember, and had like 3 lines. So I just had to like infer what the hell her personality was going to be like from like very limited information. Same thing with Naeli, who was on the cover of the Sword Coast Guide, and was in a module when they were transitioning from. So very limited information, and then Bruenor and Jarlaxle, fucking 30. Don't fuck that up, because Jesus Christ, these are characters that everybody knows, and if you get the voice wrong, you're fucked. So I would like read out things in Bruno. I did I did a little breakdown for Bruno and Jarlaxle from some of the books and things like that, like a little actor's breakdown. Motivations, things like that, character arc, and blah 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 blah. And then when I was writing dialogue after I wrote it, I would read it out to myself to see if it sounded good after I had written it.
Mm-hmm.
And that plays into a lot of times when I DM, all of my improv training comes to the fore. Like just, off the top of your head, plan it, commit, because your players are eventually going to them to do.
You're starting to
Come
cut
up
out
with a
again.
solution.
Sorry.
Oh, shit. So eventually your players are going to do something that you don't want them to do. So come up with a solution and then commit to that solution. Figure out a way to make it work so that everything can move forward. And if it doesn't make sense in a game, and if you have players you can trust, you can actually be like, okay, what do we want the solution to be here? What do you think should happen? And give them the option. I also, for those instances, I have, so for my World of Darkness games, I always have them roll on character creation D10. 1 is 0, 2 and 3 is 1, 4 and 5 is 2, and so on. 10 is 5. For a dumb luck score, any time that we come to a point in the game where they're like, is there a rope in the warehouse that I'm in? Like, do I find a rope? Cool, roll your dumb luck. How lucky is your character? Like, difficulty 7, roll your dumb luck score. And they rolled a 1, which is a botch. It's like, no, there are no ropes. It's just a bunch of nails and gas cans and like a faulty, like the whole place might burn down any second. Like, make a choice, commit, move on. Yeah. So everything I do informs everything that I do.
Nice.
Just little bits and pieces. It's a lot of cool Venn diagrams.
For sure.
I think it's cool Venn diagrams, but I'm me and very biased.
Well, it's really good when you can use a thing that you feel that you're good at in multiple places and kind of not only apply that, but also in doing so multiple ways, you can kind of grow it a little bit too. So
yeah, I try to make sure that happens. And also, like, the things that I am bad at, I am colossally bad at, so I just don't try. That's my secret. I only do things that I'm good at, so I look like I know what I'm doing.
The illusion of competence.
That's the name of my autobiography.
I'll fight you for the naming rights, because I would have to steal that too.
Okay. I mean, we could both do it, and then, like, just both have our pictures just, like, swapped on each other's autobiographies. And then just have a little thing about plagiarism in the front. Or
have them both misspelled in different ways, which would also work.
That's brilliant.
Or you just biography each other.
That's not an autobiography.
Well, that's why I said biography each other, not auto.
I know, but I was. Yeah, fine, okay. I'm just going to drink my scotch, and you're right. You're correct. And
autobiography as written by.
Yeah.
I'll biography the shit out of you.
Whoa.
What?
Save that for the after hours session.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay. Wow.
I've got a good amount of scotch in me, so this would be a good time for any questions. Really.
Do we have like a good banger last question to go out on, maybe? So we don't run over time.
You sure that's the phrasing?
Trouble for implying banging.
I'm not trouble.
What?
That wasn't trouble.
Oh,
Honey,
okay.
That was not trouble.
Yeah.
What's your best GMing advice that you like? What's the best advice you give to people who are like, "Hey, Jacob, you seem competent at GMing. I would like to know your secret."
Jesus, like one piece of advice, like one nice.
Or go on a 5-minute rant.
If someone said like info dump the important bullet points for DMing, what you got?
Yeah.
Well, I would say if I was gonna distill, it's DMing is a service. You're there for the table, you're not there for you. If you look at it that way, I think that's good soil for skills to grow out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, get your enjoyment out of it. I mean, don't do things that aren't fun, obviously. Don't just be like, well, this is a chore now. That's not what I mean. You're there not just for you. You're there for everybody. Yeah.
And what about for players? Because you've talked about introducing a bunch of people, so I mean...
Oh, for players? Have fun and allow everyone else to have fun as well. The second that you are making a choice that isn't going to be fun for someone else, that's probably the wrong choice. Hiding behind, well, it's what my character would do, you've made a bullshit character.
That's my character's an asshole, I'm not defense is actual bullshit.
Yes, yeah, that is. That just proves that you are, in fact, an asshole. Yeah, don't hide behind it's what my character would do. This is the most likely thing in this situation. Work with everybody else at the table. Step out of the game. Step that one level up outside of the world and outside of your character and collaborate. Ask everybody else, like, here's the thing that I want to do. How can we make this work for everybody? That's going to come into conflict with your character. Is that cool? Is that interesting to you? Do you want to have that conflict in the game? Because I'm the rogue and I just literally stole the pants off the king and he didn't notice and you're the lawful good paladin. Can we get along? Can we make it into a fun odd couple thing instead of you're going to murder me in the night in the name of Torm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree to look the other way while you do whatever it is that I'm not paying attention to, and I can't be mad at you for it.
Does this person... Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of bleh. Like, does this person challenge your beliefs? Can you get this person's actions to fit within the paradigm of you being a paladin of Torm? Lawful good doesn't mean slavishly devoted to the rules all the time. You're still a person. That's just your main thread. It's not just a dictation of bullet points of like, well, here's my lawful good stick. Gotta wedge that right up my butt and have it come out my mouth. Let's do it. Like, no. And being chaotic neutral doesn't necessarily mean like, hey, I'm going to light everything on fire. Why? Chaotic neutral, tee-hee-hee-hee-hee, bite the head off a chicken. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. Talk about it with everybody else. Make choices that are fun.
Definitely.
So this fish milk I've been brewing for like 15 years. Not a good thing.
I'm sorry, did you say fish monk?
Fish milk. Like fish Malkavian.
Yes.
I thought you said fish milk, and I was immediately disgusted.
It's better than it sounds.
What do you mean by fish?
So, like, fish Malkavian is someone who's going to walk into, like, the prince's office and slap them with a fish. Like,
yes.
They're that kind of Malkavian.
Yes.
They're like, oh, I'm so crazy.
Exactly. I'm so crazy. Tee-hee-hee-hee-hee. Well, that's a Malkavian that obviously doesn't want... And you're not playing the... There are Malkavians like that, but if you're going to talk about Malkavians and derangements and mental illnesses and the curse of what it is to have a mental illness, then if you're just like a Malkavian that's like, cook chicken, blah, 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 broccoli is the answer to everything. You can play that, absolutely, but why? There's so much to explore.
Cool.
I like it.
I just wanted to tie it back to World of Darkness for you there.
I appreciate that.
So we're getting close to the end here. Is there so what of your work do you want to put in front of us and you can just say everything? So start plugging your stuff.
Okay. Well, I would like to mention that after all of Dark love that I've heaped upon the masses, I'm actually writing for them now. I
Nice.
have my very first opportunity to be able to write for Wraith the Oblivion, which I have always described as the role-playing game that you play once and then never again. It is the saddest fucking game. It is so, so good. I used to describe it that way. I would not describe it as I am now. It is such a good tapestry because it's
Wraith is about what happens after you die. Death isn't the end, and it explores memory and sadness, and everything inside you that you hate gets a voice and talks to you and wants to drag you down into oblivion, capital O oblivion. Quite literally, like there is a place where it can just like be like, no, we're gonna go there and I'm gonna feed you to nothing. Like it's such a cool fucking system and setting, and for whatever reason, Cassandra Caw, who is an amazing horror writer, and she writes for a whole bunch of different stuff and does things for In Exile and video games and tabletop, and she has novellas. And if you haven't read Hammers on Bone and some of her novellas, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you even think about Cthulhu in a passing fancy, you will like her shit. She writes such good stuff, rich things about food and all sorts of crazy shit. And for whatever reason, she wanted to work with me on the Book of Oblivion, which is the first supplement for the Wraith 20th anniversary. So we're actually in charge of writing the area of the Shadowlands, which is the land of the dead, the Shadowlands, the Tempest, and all of that cool, awesome world building stuff. We're writing about India and Southeast Asia.
Nice.
Which is amazing. Because she brings, I mean, she's Malaysian and brings such knowledge, and this is like part of the reason why I'm so happy with what Onyx Path has done with the World of Darkness, because they're getting the appropriate voices to say the appropriate words. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely like in the background on this and going like, okay, what about this? Tell me about this thing. Here's how it can feed into World of Darkness lore. Like, it's so gratifying to be able to work with her and to actually have access to Bruce Ball, who's one of the line developers for Wraith 20th, to actually get to be able to, like, it's everything I can do to keep my shit together when I'm like talking with some of the other authors that are like, back with this book. And I was just like, you wrote what part of that? Oh, I wrote this. Oh, god damn. And then I just like start to sweat. And it's really embarrassing. And I turn into a fanboy and like have to take a few moments to just be like, to summon the power of the majestic dung beetle again to keep my shit together. It just, oh man, it is so satisfying, and it is so like, I had better not fuck this up.
That's
like
fair.
it had better be amazing. And I get to ask them lore questions. And I was like, Bruce, can I just ask you, like, you know, like I mentioned earlier, like, I had this theory about this one thing, like, was this actually this? And he's like, well, we implied that it was. And I was like, oh, so good. It was all worth it.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever met like a writer or creative person where you're just like, hey, this really cool thing that you did was really cool. And do you want to talk about how cool it was and how good you are at writing cool things? Like, very few people are like, no, go away.
Yeah. Like, Bruce Ball actually wrote the novel Wrapped Up Mage, like way back in the day when like the novel, they kind of wrapped it up. Mm-hmm. And I read that book 3 times. It was like dog-eared and falling apart by the time I was done, because I was trying to suck all the lore bits out of it. And now we're friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, when I remember that, when I think about that fact, like I get palpitations, like I get the vapors, like that's fucked up. And it's all like, and I have to be like, hey, you could ask him about this thing like anytime you wanted. And then there's the part of my brain that goes like, how about now? How about all the time? How about all those questions that you have? Go dig out your old notebooks. Ask him all the things right now. I'm like, dude, just like, let's maybe not, let's calm the fuck down and just be like, hey, so like a question a week, maybe.
You just have a memo in your calendar and it just like,
it's
4:32 p.m. Thursday.
You are allowed to, but it's got to be random time, so it doesn't seem like, are you scheduling these things? Yeah, that's because that's not good. You have to make it look like you're not insane. And I'm not. And I'm so glad they hired me. Please, please, please don't fire me. But anyway, it's been very, very gratifying to
for sure
be able to collaborate on this and to actually work on something that means so much to me. Yeah. And working with Cassandra Caw is a fucking delight. Go read her shit.
For those of you playing the audio game or whatever, she's at Casskaw, CASSKHAW on Twitter.
Yeah, she's very active on Twitter.
And if you're following the That D&D podcast reading list, Hammers on Bone is heard to be novel, I believe. So
Yeah.
check it out.
Yep. And
It's also such a good name.
Also, I believe Charlie Strauss has got the "Hey, go read this book" thing, which is if you're familiar with Lovecraftian fiction.
Yep. She real good.
And if
Good.
And if people are looking to get a sample of your work or follow you on Twitter or
Oh yeah.
throw
So
dollars in your face.
I enjoy money. So Jacob Burgess VO, JACOB BURGESS VO, a soft G for a soft man. On Twitter. You can also follow me on Twitch because I'm streaming with Ian Horner from Loading Ready Run, who has Tinker, Tailor, Solder, Fry, and like is doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. And he has his own channel called Tiltia House. And every Tuesday from 5 to 8 PST, we have Japanese snacks, and I actually cook Japanese food, and I bring it over, and we play Yakuza 0. But starting next week, and for the next 2 weeks after that, he's gone.
Oh,
it's just going to be my thing.
Oh,
What's that?
wow.
Yeah, he's gone for Road Quest, yes. So I'm in charge of the whole thing by myself. And I'm going to be playing, because this is what the chat suggested, because I had mentioned World of Darkness once or twice and that I was writing for them on the chat, and some of our fans and viewers and stuff suggested. I'm going to be playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is a World of Darkness video game, and I've actually never played it because I've never had a computer good enough to play it. I know everything that happens in the game. I've already read all the wikis like 8, but
It's good.
it'll be interesting. I have heard that it's amazing, so it's going to be pretty much for 3 weeks me nerding the fuck out about World of Darkness.
So you've
for 3
never,
hours a night every Tuesday.
You've never played this?
I'm going to say, amazing might be pushing it. It had, like, amazing vision, and it aimed high. And, like, they made a solid title that I have played many, many times.
That is the World of Darkness. Solid
Yeah.
vision, aim high.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have high expectations of this being like one of those epic Let's Plays of like, oh, but this is cool because of War Dump. So I'm definitely tuned into this.
I'm trying to use this as an intro to World this thing, so I'm probably not going to be playing because the dialogue is different for depending on which clan and choices and stuff that you make. So I'm probably going to pick like one of the most generic things that I can, so that it's not this huge like, oh, well, in order for this to make sense, you have to know about the 18 things, and then like 5 hours later, I've drank all their booze and everybody's just gone, and I'm a madman on a couch talking to myself.
I don't know how generic that game lets you be, honestly. Like, even if you go like, I am a very straight-laced venture, like there's some shit. So
I am super looking forward to it because there's
I
going to
am
be a lot of
too
stuff,
now.
and I'm probably going to like key on in the game and be like, that could be this. Do you know what that is? Let me tell you.
I really hope you get to like the cabbie conversation, which if you've read the whole thing,
I know what that is.
Yeah. And just, I really want to see your reaction to that in real
It's going to
time.
be a lot of me just probably going like, but I haven't heard any of the voice acting in it, which I'm super looking forward to.
What's his name? The guy who does Bender.
Joe DiMaggio.
John.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joe DiMaggio? John.
Yeah.
John. Bender.
He's Jack.
Smiling
Like-
Jack?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He tutorials you.
Oh.
He's the tutorial.
Oh. Vampires can't fart.
Oh, whoops.
Sorry.
No,
No, actually, well,
spend 2 blood.
Do you have to spend a
One
win
blood.
point?
One for
one
each
blood.
cheek.
Oh. Okay. Are there any more things you want to plug?
yeah, it would be cool if people came to watch me on Tilty House. I'm going to be doing a shoot with Loading Ready Run tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't tell you. I can tell you that I'm shooting with them. And
as a fan of Loading Ready Run, is this a thing we can expect to see more of, or is that also secret?
that's not up to me.
Okay, that's fair. You were great on Now Kiss.
Thank you. The best way to get someone to hire me is to see me. Telling me that you want to see more of me is only going to get me with you.
Mhm.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, like that's for anybody that you want to see on a thing, at a convention, anything like that. Tell the people that are organizing it. Telling the person that you want to see there is just going to have them go like, "Me too," and you're going to have a nice little spike of enthusiasm. But that's not going to get them there. That's going to just make them want it more. So, unfortunately, you have to go do it. You go talk to them. And not necessarily you go talk to Loading Ready Run or anything like that. Like that's not what I'm saying. Don't, it'd be cool if you did, but that's not what I'm saying. But yeah, that's like telling the person that you want the thing to do the thing isn't going to make the thing happen. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just, I don't know, hang out, follow me on Twitter. I'm fun and listen to my podcast. And I'm doing another podcast next week, I think. I don't know. I'm tired. And I'm trying to move an apartment. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Tilty House, if you want to hang out with me like on the regular, follow me on Twitter. If you would like to follow me on Twitter and interact with me and whatnot. And I'll always talk about World of Darkness and DMing and crazy theater shit. And I don't know. There you go. Yeah. And it'd be really cool if you bought some Onyx Path books, because the more money they make, the more likely they're going to hire me for. And it's all really good and friggin' excellent. And I know I'm wildly biased, but I don't care. It's good.
I haven't played Wraith yet, so probably check that out.
Yeah, Wraith 20. I'm pretty sure the main rulebook is out, and then I'll be on the first supplement, Book of Oblivion, which again, pretty good. Like I've got to read some of the other working on stuff.
Isn't it great getting to see shit behind the scenes as it's being made?
A lot of people are like, you don't want to see how the sausage is made. Yeah, you do. When that sausage is delicious, yeah, you friggin' do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will reveal the secrets of this sausage.
Do you have a non-capitalist plug? Something that you just want more people to go out and do?
You know what? At Tilty House, when Ian and I stream together, our sign-off is always like, share, and take care of yourselves. Take care of yourself. You can't help anybody if you don't take care of you. Don't use it as a selfish douchebag excuse, but take care of yourself. Recognize when you need to be your own priority, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't help anybody else.
That's really
Don't need to let yourself on fire to keep anybody else. So don't do that.
Yes.
There you go.
I like that phrase.
It's a good sign-off.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a fucking delight.
Likewise.
Yeah, we'll
I
have
really
to get you on to finish our list of questions at some point.
Oh, no.
This is fine. This is the ideal. We haven't gotten through our list of questions with anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not. This went perfectly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We always come up with a huge list of questions, and then that way it's like, oh no, I guess you have to come back, and then you're like, shucks, and then we're best friends forever.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
And then Aaron fills you full of like shrimp, basically. Like there's a shrimp cook-off or whatever.
If you come to PAX South, I will give you a beer and a food. I cook a lot and pretty well, I think, and we might be. There's plans. There's plans for PAX South, and there's plans, and also, it's fine. Yeah. Well,
I will probably be at PAX South next year.
Sweet.
Yes.
I think I'm already booked for it.
Excellent.
Nice.
I'll definitely be at PAX West.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a ferry ride away for you? It's not that bad.
Yeah, I prefer to drive. I prefer to do the ferry over to Vancouver. But Yeah, or I can just hop on the Clipper here and just be like,
Yeah.
I'm in Seattle. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It really depends on who books me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank
Cool.
you, all of you at home, for listening or watching or whichever way that you are ingesting the sounds and pictures that are flying towards your body. Nobody should let me do outros ever again. We've been that D&D podcast. If you have someone you would like us to interrogate for several hours, send us a message on Twitter, and I have no problem asking people to come do things. So
It's
Can
true.
we talk about the next 2 interviews yet? Have those been firmed up?
the one for next week has, the other one I'm still waiting on word back from.
Okay. Do we want to talk about them then?
Go for it. I need to drink some water.
Oh fuck. Well, now you put me on the spot and I don't have their name in front. I'm the. Oh my god.
Stretch it out.
Yeah,
I have no excuse either. I'm not
Um,
drinking anything.
What do you call? Did you know that when a pterodactyl urinates, it makes a sound? Because the P is silent.
Next
Beautiful.
week we will be interviewing Jason Tasharsky,
Mhm.
I believe is their name. And I'm not super familiar with their work because, again, I don't have any notes pulled up in front of me. I just looked at a Google Calendar.
Yes.
But tune in next Tuesday for that, unless you're watching Tilty House with Jacob. And I think Ian's still around next week, or is that already underway?
No, Ian's not around next week. Next week is my first.
Dinger.
We begin Vampire next Tuesday.
Okay, so watch one of the 2 of these things live, and then catch the other one on the VOD, and then
Or-
that's how
or
you
pull-
consume.
Pull up
Yeah.
both. Right? One audio, one ear,
That's-
one on the other
That's
ear.
fine.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
how
I'm-
humans work.
I would love to make partner with Tilty House. So if somebody just has it on in the background, those what I'm learning, and I'm learning about Twitch. So if we can get those achievements, that'd be awesome.
Mhm.
Those Chivos are important.
I guess that's how it works. I don't know.
It's pretty weird and oddly gamified.
Sweet.
Is it odd though? No. Look. Wait. We'll talk about this.
Anyway, sorry.
Yes. No. It's fine. I tangent
Interrupted the
sometimes.
outro.
So yes, if you would like to throw money at us for whatever reason, you can go to patreon.com/thatdnd podcast. We are That D&D Podcast on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, here on Twitch, thatdndpodcast.com, thatdndpodcast@gmail.com. We are not original with our name and not picky about broadcasting it everywhere. So that is us. Thank you again for coming to hang out, Jacob. We appreciate the shit out of you. And
Thank you very, very much.
and good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for your time and attention.